Okay, so today is our informative speech. So, what I'm going to be talking about with my visual aid is for those of you who don't know what this symbol represents or the association to this symbol, it is the symbol for the Alzheimer's Association. So, if you see this symbol, it's recognized a lot with the Alzheimer's community and recognizing the disease. So, with that being said, how many of you know someone who either has Alzheimer's, a family member, or someone who's been impacted by the disease? Quite a few people who know someone who's been impacted by this disease. Alzheimer's is a disease that is a mental deterioration of the mind. I've had the unfortunate circumstance to deal with it out of high school. My aunt owns an assisted living facility for Alzheimer's and dementia patients, so I've seen the disease firsthand and how bad the disease really is. So today I'm looking to kind of give you some insight and some statistics about the disease, some of the state requirements for Michigan for running an adult foster care home, and some of the things that I've seen on how to make an adult foster care home feel like home for not only the patients but also the families. So statistics, Alzheimer's. Out of the 10 top deadly diseases, think of cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Alzheimer's is the only disease that does not have a cure. It cannot be slowed down and it cannot be stopped. Think about with all of our different medical technologies, it's pretty eye-opening thinking that there's really nothing that can be done right now to help the disease. With that being said, one in three seniors die of Alzheimer's. So it's a very high statistics among the older population, most commonly found in middle-aged to older-aged individuals. A statistic that I found pretty eye-opening is that every 65 seconds someone is developing a form of Alzheimer's. So it's a very rapid disease. It's something that's happening at a very high pace, and there's a lot more cases that are being identified as we grow further. Alzheimer's with caregivers. So nearly two-thirds of caregivers to adults are actually women. Something that was pretty eye-opening for me. Actually, my aunt's facility is turned more towards women caregivers. It's family-owned, so a lot of family. We have my dad, my uncle, my aunts, my cousins who are working there. Half women, half men, but she's trying to balance that out. How much does it cost to actually put someone into adult foster care? It's pretty eye-opening to think that over the duration of time that someone could be in adult foster care, the Alzheimer's Association averages about in upwards $300,000 to place someone in adult foster care. Just to put into perspective, there are different sizes of facilities. You have smaller home facilities that are typically between 1 and 8 residents, and then you have larger facilities that are in upwards of 10, 15, 20 residents, and each facility charges a different rate. Well, we'll go on the low end. So a smaller facility that is charging $4,500 a month for care, you think about just putting someone in a facility for 3 years, you're already in upwards of $250,000 in just care for that individual. So it's very expensive to put someone in adult foster care. So the price is not cheap, and that financial burden really lies heavily with those family members that are having to put those individuals into adult foster care. So now we'll get into some of the state requirements. This part was really interesting for me when we think about requirements and the ratio between caregivers and patients. The state of Michigan kind of has it broken down in 3 different segments. You have your morning shift, you have your afternoon shift, and you have your evening shift. So the requirements for Michigan is for a morning shift, you have a ratio of 1 caregiver per 8 residents. For afternoon shift, it is 1 caregiver per 12 residents. And for an evening shift, it is 1 caregiver per 15 residents. So the ratio is pretty skewed, in my opinion, on the number of caregivers to patients, and just seeing firsthand at how demanding it is just to care for one individual. It's almost an impossible task for one person to be tasked to care for that many individuals at a time. So those are the requirements of the state if you were to run or work in an adult foster care home. Also, you need protocols as far as emergency plans. As funny as this may sound, Alzheimer's, a lot of people, They don't know who you are. They lose that mental awareness. You need to have emergency plans in every single room of the facility, escape routes, emergency plans. You need to have specific people to notify in case of certain types of emergencies. So you have a contact list of different people you need to reach out to in case of emergencies. And also you need to have procedures for evacuations for the worst case scenario. How are you going to evacuate those individuals safely outside of the environment? And then next, my last point is talking about how do you make an adult foster care feel like home for the individuals. I think one thing in particular that my aunt's business tries to do is focus on that individual. So prior to a new resident moving in, they have the family fill out a form talking about the individual's likes, talking about that individual, what they were like growing up as a kid, as an older person, so we can begin to learn about that person and have that connection. We've had a lot of residents that were Detroit Tigers fans, so getting them Tigers t-shirts, turning the Tigers on. I remember there was one lady in particular. She was a huge Bob Seger fan. She couldn't formulate any conversation because the disease was extremely progressive with her. She couldn't hold conversation, didn't know who you were. She had Bob Seger shirts she would wear, but every time you turned on Bob Seger, she would smile and she'd start kind of bobbing back and forth because she knew there was something in the music that she knew. And it's pretty amazing if you can specialize your care to someone's liking, a spark of hope that you can kind of see in that person. Even though you know that the disease is not going to get better, you can see that there is still some ownership to that music and that tangible good to that person. And also providing care for not only the individual in the facility, but also the families, making the families feel secure and safe that their loved one is in a spot where they don't have to worry about. They have caregivers that are truly caring for that individual's well-being, and that kind of gives peace of mind to those family members that have those individuals in assisted living care. So really catering to the families, making sure that they're comfortable, catering to the individuals that we're understanding that person of who they were, so we can get a baseline and really make sure that it's a family feel, and not having it be in a big setting like some of these larger organizations that have 20 plus residents. Have it in a smaller home, have actual homes, have actual living rooms with pictures of family and individuals. It gives it that family feel, and it gives the family a sense of comfort when they come in to visit with their loved ones. So that is my presentation today on informing you about Alzheimer's, some of the requirements from the state, and also how to make an adult foster care feel more like home for not only the residents but also the family members. So hopefully you learned something new today, and thank you for your time.